how do you bounce back from a layoff, right? It feels really bad. There's a lot of people that go through it. It's something that people feel a lot of shame from, but honestly, it can be a blessing in disguise. And I want to talk about my experiences being laid off before and what I've learned from that, and also some tips and tricks that I learned along the way. First things first, I think it is really important to take time to grieve, right? It's not just like get over it, it's fine, it's a blessing in disguise. It's more than that, right? Getting laid off, losing a job sucks, right? Let's not hide it. And I think people can have a tendency to like just shove our emotions down and our feelings like deep down inside and ignore it. When I was first laid off, it was at Honeywell. I was working in the oil and gas industry. This was my days as a mechanical engineer before I got into esports. And it was so ridiculous. I went into my boss's office with a big smile on my face. And I remember there's like a tissue box on the desk. And I was like, "Hey, how's it going, Dennis?" And he just like didn't respond, just looked at me with like kind of serious, somber eyes. And he was like, "So Sam, there's no easy way to say this. We're going through layoffs and you're one of the people that have like unfortunately are part of that list," or something like that, right? So I was like, "Oh, okay." He just kind of like waited for me. He's like, "Take your time. There are tissues here. Do you have any questions?" Right? And I like didn't really process what was going on, and I just pretty much went like, "Oh, yeah, I guess that sucks, but like I think it's pretty good timing actually, so that's pretty cool." And I'm like, he's like, "I'm really sorry." I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's fine, you know." So I told my team like, "Hey, I just got laid off. It's been fun. All right, I'm gonna head home now." Right? It was like I felt like super embarrassed too. I felt like I wanted to cry and all that kind of stuff. So layoffs suck. So I think it's really important actually to take time to grieve. Right? It like sucks. It probably doesn't just affect you. And most likely it's actually not your fault. Usually it happens because of unexpected circumstances. At that time, oil and gas industry was plummeting. Like it was so bad, and we were trying to find new ways to like make money, but like it just didn't work out. And I think it's really easy to blame yourself and be like, "Oh, I didn't work hard enough, blah, blah, blah." But like there's so much things that's happening in management and upper management that like you don't understand as you get laid off that could be management's fault. It could be just like what's happening in the world, like COVID, right? Crazy things happen, and I think it's like actually super unfair to blame yourself. And the cool thing about layoffs, depending on how long you are at a company and what the agreement is like you get a paycheck still for like a set amount of time. So I think I got like 3 more weeks of pay or like 3 paycheck. I don't remember. It was like it felt significant. So I think that goes into my second thing is like take the time that you need, right? If you're in a place where you've been having a career and you're financially stable, that can mean like you have savings and you can just kind of coast and chill and relax, go on that vacation you always wanted to or whatever. But if you're young, you know, you might be like, "I need to find a job in 3 weeks," or "I need to find a job in 2 weeks," or "I need to like move into my parents' house like now," right? So, but either way, like take your time to grieve, take your time to like reset from burnout, just stop for a moment and just enjoy being fun employed, right? I think that's really, really important. But then after you take your time, that's when you need to start like kicking it back into gear, right? You need to set, maybe you go through your finance and you can be like, "Okay, I have 2 months of runway," or like I can move in to my parents' place or like family's place to really just start to relax and take your time in applying. Everyone's situation is different, right? And that's why saving is important, people. Don't just use up all your paychecks. But during this time, as you reset and prepare to apply for jobs again, I think it's really important first to reach out to your network, right? Reach out to people that you were old coworkers with that have gone to different companies and be like, "Hey," honestly, you can just say, "I got laid off. It really sucks. This is like, do you know if there's anything for me, right, at your company? I'm looking for jobs," right? Or do you know anyone that's looking for jobs? And not only that, you need to be a little bit more specific. And hopefully during your time that you took off, you can really reflect on what you liked about your job. Do you want to keep going that way in your job? Like, what is your experience? Do you want to make a career pivot? Do you just want to make a small pivot? Do you want to keep doing what you're doing? What parts did you hate the most? What parts did you love the most, right? Think about all these things And when you reach out to your network, like give them something to work with, right? Just don't say like, I'm just looking for anything, right? If you're being like, hey, I'm looking for community management experience. I'm like really good at like building discords, if that rings a bell somewhere, like let me know. Make it easy for them to help. And people want to help. People really, really want to help. And that's why you never burn any bridges either, right? So reach out to your network. I always say the best way to apply for jobs is not through a resume, but through people. It's such a big deal. The application system is a broken system. So don't play that broken game because it's not in your favor. Go through your network. Brush out the old Rolodex, if any of you know what that means. No. Go through your Twitter following, go through your Discord, go through your old coworkers, freshen up your LinkedIn, those kind of things. So as you reach out to your network, I think it's also really important, like we said, in taking your time, you need to start brushing up on your applications and your interviewing skills, right? So that means go into your LinkedIn, update your LinkedIn, put new links on there for projects and like accomplishments that you've done. Start thinking back at all the things that you did. And even hopefully you've been collecting data about like how well projects have done, so you can use like numbers, those kind of things. But this is where you start like writing tons of bullet points, figuring out what your new resume looks like, and start building that resume. Or it's really important exercise at least to build your resume, because then you start figuring out like what you need, what you did well, what you can focus on, and start talking about. Brush up all that stuff. And most likely you haven't interviewed in a while, so that means you need to like start refreshing your interview questions, being like how to answer one of the most important interview questions, which is going to be a topic for maybe another time. Like, tell me about yourself, right? Can you do a 30-second elevator pitch? Can you do a 5-minute elevator pitch? Can you do a 10-second elevator pitch, right? Figure out the things that you need to talk about, the hard questions, how to talk about your experiences that you've done. We have a tendency to talk very small about our accomplishments and forget like how hard it actually was after you're done with the job. It's really, really, really important to like reflect on this. And this is again part of taking time after like a layoff. And there's plenty of information on the YouTube channel if you want to check that out. Other videos that tell you how to do that as well. So after that, you've reached out to your network, you started brushing things up. I would even say like apply for jobs that you can get an interview for, or you hope like that are easy, that you are not interested in working at all. Like, it kind of feels bad, you're wasting their time, but I think it's perfectly legit to do that. And I don't want my first interview to be after I've been rusty, to be the dream job that I want. That sounds absolutely nerve-wracking. So get some practice reps in. If you could do some mock interviews, that'd be great. I know Genius League has done mock interviews, so check them out, which is like Evil Genius's collegiate and like career program. And then if not, like apply for jobs, start practicing your interview skills, and hopefully you get an offer and you can just reject it, because that always feels good and boosts the ego. Also, another thing to mention in interviews is like knowing what you want to ask the company, right? You have escaped the trenches of your last job that maybe you were stuck in for 5 years or 2 years and it sucked because your manager was horrible, right? Now going into these new interviews, hopefully you're not super desperate and need to take the first job offer you get. But start asking questions about the company when it's like, hey, what's your management style? What are the managers like? Oh, how easy, or like what does it look like to like grow my career here and get promotions? On average, how long does it take for a person to get a promotion? Like, you can be asking these questions because of the red flags that you had at your previous job, or even the things that you really liked from your previous job. Oh yeah, like how much do we see the CEO? Right? Do we get to ask questions? Are like upper management accessible to us? Is there a mentorship program internally? Those kind of things, because you really enjoyed that at previous jobs. You now have better ways to ask those questions about like when at the end of the interview they say, do you have any questions for us? And you go, no, I've just been prepping super hard for this interview and didn't have any questions because I'm going to accept an offer that you give me right away. Like, right? This is the time where you like understand what questions you want to be asking to search for those red flags or those things that you're really, really excited about. Yeah, applying for jobs on LinkedIn is really nice because you can see where your connections are, right? And that's where you like hit them up and be like, hey, how's it going? How have you been? Sorry, I haven't reached out to you in a while. Can you do me a favor? Right? Which brings me actually to a bonus point. Like, it's really important to figure out how to cold call people. Even if there have been acquaintances, like just understanding how to do it is really important. And I think I have a video. There's a cold calling video on the YouTube channel too, which I think would still fit how to approach this. But ultimately, please don't like cold call people. And just say, hey, what's up, right? When I get that, I like, unless we're buddies, I know it's just like a conversation. Like, I want to know why you're hitting me up, because in the back of my head, I'm like, this is random. What's going on? Everyone is waiting for the ball to drop. So instead, just drop the ball at the beginning. Be polite and professional. Say, hey, how's it going? It's been a while. I'm sorry we haven't kept in touch. I just want to reach out because I got laid off and I'm looking for opportunities. I would love to chat. Like, if we can catch up and like let me know if you like have 30 minutes to talk. Like, that'd be great. Something like that. I think you need to spend more time polishing that. But yeah, make sure your cold intros are really good. On the steps of like bouncing back is like, just keep applying, keep your head up. It can be really discouraging. I think just do whatever to keep your mental up and your motivation up, which is really hard. But hopefully you know how to do that for yourself and what's going on. And then, go through your interviews, kill it, and just be prepared for negotiations and then like understanding what you really want.